Welcome to our Bible studies from Luke's Gospel. I'm tentatively entitling them Luke in Lockdown or Lockdown Luke. Reminds me of a film from the 1960s with Paul Newman called Cool Hand Luke, which was a kind of retelling of the gospel story with Paul Newman in the starring role. It's really worth watching if you get a chance to see it over this period. Beautiful sunshine today, forecast 23 degrees in London, really hot. As I cycled around yesterday, the parks were full of people, probably more full than they would be at other times. Families, maybe some families spending more time with their dads than they ever have before. So a lot of good things happening. But it's also thinking about how we spend our time or what we do with our time during this period. And I want to read to you a story that Jesus told from Luke's Gospel, chapter 19, verse 11. So let's read together. While they were listening to this, he went on to tell them a parable because he was near Jerusalem and the people thought that the kingdom of God was going to appear at once. He said, "A man of noble birth went to a distant country to have himself appointed king and then to return. So he called 10 of his servants and gave them 10 minas. 'Put this money to work,' he said, 'until I come back.' But his subjects hated him and sent a delegation after him to say, 'We don't want this man to be our king.' He was made king, however, and returned home. Then he sent for the servants to whom he had given the money in order to find out what they had gained with it. The first one came and said, 'Sir, your mina has earned 10 more.' 'Well done, my good servant,' his master replied. 'Because you have been trustworthy in a very small matter, take charge of 10 cities.' The second came and said, 'Sir, your mina has earned 5 more.' His master answered, 'You take charge of 5 cities.' Then another servant came and said, 'Sir, here is your mina. I have kept it laid away in a piece of cloth. I was afraid of you because you are a hard man. You take out what you did not put in and reap what you did not sow.' His master replied, 'I'll judge you by your own words. You wicked servant. You knew, did you, that I'm a hard man, taking out what I did not put in and reaping what I did not sow? Why then didn't you put my money on deposit, so that when I came back I could have collected it with interest?' Then he said to those standing by, 'Take his mina away from him and give it to the one who has 10 minas.' 'Sir,' they said, 'he already has 10. He replied, 'I tell you that to everyone who has, more will be given, but as for the one who has nothing, even what they have will be taken away. But those enemies of mine who did not want me to be king over them, bring them here and kill them in front of me.'" You know, Jesus' parables are strange tales, the kind of thing you watch on the Twilight Zone or whatever it is late at night on the Horror Channel. The details of the story and the violence are not necessarily to be taken literally. It's a story. It's a parable made to communicate a central point, a main point. The rest is there for colouring, to make it come alive and to keep our interest. Like any good storyteller, Jesus knew that violence sells. But what was the story about? It's about our responsibility for what has been given to us. Everything that we have is a gift to be used to serve others. And are we using what we've given it? Maybe our talents, maybe our physical, financial resources. Are we using them, or are we just enjoying them for ourselves? That's the choice. Am I using what I have just for myself, or am I using it to bless others? Am I learning something in this lockdown period? I know a lot of people, when it began, said, "I'm going to learn German. I'm going to learn knitting. I'm going to learn computer programming." And they began looking online for all kinds of courses. And they did it for a while, and then gradually they gave up, like New Year's resolutions. Are we using this time to learn new skills, new talents, new subjects? We can. There's a lot of resources out there. It's a productive use of our times to develop what we already have. Again, are we using what we have for other people, to serve other people? If you have any creative abilities, no matter how bad they are, use them to bless other people. Maybe do a drawing. Get your kids to do a drawing. Send it in the post, the old-fashioned way, snail mail. Send it to somebody. It might take a little bit longer than normal. And then they'll get a surprise card or picture through the post. Use what you've got. Use what your kids have got to send to other people, to bless them. Maybe somebody who's isolated at home. Phone calls are good as well. Rediscover the joy of the phone call. But physical things that they can keep afterwards, put on a shelf, are really nice to have as well. And then maybe even to use your gifts and talents for the cause of defeating COVID-19. My niece normally works as a maker of theatrical costumes for theatres, and she goes around different places, including abroad, for periods of time, staying in digs for short periods in different places in Germany or Kent or whatever it is, and she will make the costumes and repair the costumes for the play. Obviously, there's no plays going on now, so she's actually volunteered to make scrubs, to make medical gowns and costumes for our health service. And so she's contracted out to do that on her sewing machine. My wife was asked, actually, Havering Hospital needs 700 of these. I wonder if you can guess what they are. My wife's just started learning crocheting from our new youth worker, Rochelle. What they are, they're going to have buttons on eventually. And apparently when they wear the surgical the surgical masks, they go behind the ear, and it's causing chafing that is like uncomfortable, but also cutting and making bleeding happen behind their ears. Very difficult. They have to wear them for all day in the cases of COVID-19. So what happens is that they have this behind their head, okay, with buttons, and then the surgical mask wraps around the button instead. Simple thing. They need 700 in Havering Hospital. Other hospitals may need them as well. Look online. Contact us if you want to make some. That's a small little thing. I don't think Sue's going to make 700, but just a number of these things could just help out our doctors and nurses. It may seem like a small thing, but how precious, how useful. I heard a report on the radio today from London Museum of London. They're trying to collect memorabilia from this time so they can have